Yeah, Fabian Perspective, Friendly Fire, AllBallTV. Let's get right into it. Draymond Green, the King's juggler. Enough is enough with this guy's shenanigans. And you can see it right there in the tweet. Draymond is so defensive. This is where he loses me. Because I was going to do a video this morning about the genius of Draymond. Like, there's a balance to this guy, right? Somehow, I guess he looks for motivation in just being a rebel and just fighting. In this case here, for me, he's like, what is he arguing about? You know, what was the point of participating in that conversation? You know, shout out to Ricky G, first of all. He's always just talking about basketball, and he's not a Draymond guy. I've interacted with him before. He sounds like he's been a fan for years. He's like an OG Golden State fan, by the way. Rick Barry, all these guys from back in the day, he'll talk about. And, you know, I would have loved to have, I guess, heard them both go back and forth about basketball. There is a big distinction between the players of today talking about basketball and the players from before. Then it's beyond sensitive. There's a level of arrogance that they develop from just hanging around each other and almost like being in their own bubble. And I think it's because of the social media world. They force themselves into these Michael Jackson bubbles. Because Michael Jackson was the guy that was, you could tell back in the day, he was so just isolated from society that he was doing all this weird shit. And you'd be like, yo, nah, Mike. Like, we don't do that. And I would think your opinions and how you go about life in general, they go about the same way, because who's really challenging them? You know, who's really challenging Draymond? Like, and LeBron, like, you know, I'll get to Rich Paul in a second. Who's really challenging them on anything? When they do speak, you can tell there's no way no one challenged that. Or in Draymond's case, I think Draymond's also the type of guy who he's not listening anyway, right? Like, he just doesn't care. Like, he clearly does not care. Whatever side he's on, he's going to go 1,000,000% for that. And that's just based on how he gets suspended, how he costs his team games in crucial moments. All that stuff matters. And the balance to that is a tweet here. He's defending, or basically trying to motivate Team USA from afar and extending an olive branch maybe. But it's definitely an inside view of Draymond's way of thinking and how he can motivate his players, and maybe why Golden State keeps him around. But he's just dead wrong on this. Two black kings and all this. Like, bro, what are you talking about, man? Like, you play both sides. You're getting caught up. You got to choose a side at a certain point. Who do you think is the GOAT? Steph Curry or LeBron James of your era? That's it. If you think LeBron is the GOAT, then say that. And just stay out of a conversation like that. It's not that hard, man. It really isn't. And he just looks worse and worse the more he just tries to defend himself. It's pitiful. It really is. Because he's the guy out of anyone in the NBA that we would have loved to have had a podcast and just be raw. Who else is going to be raw like that in any podcast anymore? As much of a maniac as this guy is on the basketball court, where anything goes, he's the guy who we think would see no boundaries during a podcast. But somehow he does. He knocked his teammate out. He pretty much doesn't find anything wrong with that. He stomped on Sabonis. He just cursed out KD. Like there's so many times where he crosses the line. And again, I ain't mad at you. You do your thing. But I want to see that recklessness in the podcast. I want to see that recklessness in the back and forth on the Twitter. Not this cop out, I am legend, you're not pitting me against the two kings BS, bro. Get out of here, Draymond Green. Like, then you guys want to interact with the sports stars of today or the sports fans of today. How are you interacting with the sports fans of today? When you yourself are a sports fan, you're a fan first. And that's the way you interact with this high, holier than thou, you are beneath me kind of vibration. It's silly, man. It really is. But he got his volume deal. Shannon Sharp is over there now. Congratulations, bro. Hope you guys step it up and stop being a bunch of chumps. I don't care how much you can beat somebody up, bro. That doesn't mean you don't act like a chump. It's just coward shit, bro. Step up, bro. Just step up as a man, as a free thinker. Go back and forth without playing with it, you know, crying wolf. Like, that's crazy. Two black kings. What the hell does that have to do with with playing both sides, man? Get out of here. Trying to pit me against each other. No, you pitted yourself against each other. Against the LeBron and Steph Curry. You keep going back and forth like a side chick. Get out of here, Draymond. Rich Paul. By the way, like, comment, and subscribe, man. Also, give us a super chat. If you feel like cursing me out, if you feel like giving us a chance out here, you want to tell me something, I interact with everybody. I try to. And I promise, I won't do what Draymond did and throw a cop out there, man. I just try to be funny. I'm a bit sarcastic. I understand that. But I definitely show respect to people. I try to. I always try to understand people's point of view. So I would love to hear the super chats. I'd love to hear the comments. Read the comments. Subscribe to our membership just to show us love. And get us out of this. Get us out of this level. We're gonna create a different level of AllBallTV. Like, comment, and subscribe, though. That's even more important to get the word out there from us. If you really enjoy us, the Four Sportsmen has been amazing. So, and you guys have been just responding just amazingly, man. Just tremendous. Excuse me. Now on to the King's other jester, Rich Paul. Come on, man. Another guy playing victim. Here we go. You know, they didn't do this to David Falk. They didn't do this to whatever other agents out there. So Rich Paul goes on the Goodwood Arena show. And he says a lot of things. But let's start with this one. Now you see there, I don't agree with that at all. More so because he mentioned Kobe. When it comes to Kobe, I don't think Jordan or LeBron faced the level of scrutiny that Kobe did. What Kobe faced was just way different. It's a big-time city. He was married very young. He was a child star somewhat in himself before LeBron was, a couple years before LeBron was. And that case, that sexual assault case, put him in a different light. It put him in a different scope. It was totally unexpected for someone like Kobe. He was more Disney-like than edgy in that sense. To be viewed in a sexual kind of way, let alone a sexual assault case. That's a way more intimate space, way rougher way to view him, and just totally unexpected. And it's so funny because Allen Iverson said that on the Stephen A. Smith show when he had a late night show or a nightly talk show. And he basically said, you guys expected that to be me. You guys expected that case to be on Allen Iverson. And it was very honest to say, but I think if Iverson had the chance, he would have taken those words back because it was like unnecessary. But the point is, even Iverson and everyone, that's how surprising it was. That's not the guy we expected to be involved in just anything that wasn't clean. Not to say he was Grant Hill, but that's how we view Kobe more or less. He was viewed as a wannabe. People don't want to admit that. You're a wannabe Jordan. You don't seem as authentic. And of course, with Allen Iverson being there, he comes off as authentic, you know, from this neighborhood. He comes off as authentic, especially with hip hop just commercial, being just totally commercial at this point. The most popular genre at that point, even though Billboard and Rolling Stone says something else, hip hop, my generation, was the biggest music and culture. Allen Iverson was at the forefront of that. And Kobe Bryant was almost like an imitation of that. He wasn't from here. He wasn't raised here. So that wasn't ingrained in him. He was copying it, and we can tell. The same way he was copying Michael Jordan. We could tell. We can see it. And all that being said, once that case came about, it changed the perception of Kobe Bryant. It flipped everything upside down. And that's why I keep on saying that I like the Redeem team pointing out that LeBron and that Olympic experience helped flip the narrative about Kobe. Even the Kobe and Shaq separation, when they broke up and Shaq got traded to the Miami Heat, Kobe Bryant essentially forced that trade. I mean, they both kind of did, but Kobe just happened to be younger, right? He was the younger star. So when they traded him, there was a big perception of him just being selfish. And there was a lot of darkness to him that LeBron also took on with the decision. Like, Kobe flips, does a 180, and is now looked at as authentic the older he got, because he kind of shed his skin where it was like, well, what's the worst you guys are gonna throw at me? Like, I've been through everything, right? He has a big family now, and he just comes off way more real. He graduates to this place where he won without Shaq. So I guess as a man, a lot of the insecurities are gone in his 30s, big-time family. And then, of course, LeBron goes to Miami, and he becomes the ultimate villain, like bigger than Kobe Bryant could ever be. That put a lot of scrutiny on LeBron James. I will say that, but I don't know if that was bigger than Kobe Bryant, caught that case. I just don't know, because he was flying from court and going to the basketball court, with the possibility of jail looming over your head. It's a different kind of pressure. And they were talking about it on ESPN on a nightly basis. And as much as they want to say they didn't have, social media back then, we did have the internet. People were at work going online. They were emailing each other. They were, everything's at the touch of a button now because of the cell phones, yeah. But back then, you had to walk. There was a distance between the internet, where you can connect to the internet. So a lot of things involved. I understand what Rich Paul is saying, but again, just like his boy Draymond Green, there's no real need to even explain any of that or try to defend LeBron on that. Like, I just don't understand the spin of that. Wait for the documentary, wait for the movie. There's no need to promote any of this. It's a constant, victimization of LeBron. And if you're a LeBron stan, you're going to agree with Rich Paul. I would think so. But for me, Kobe Bryant faced the most scrutiny out of all three of those stars. And that's really such a subjective thing to say, because what about Nick Anderson and Chris Webber? Like, Nick Anderson missed 4 free throws and was never the same. Chris Webber called a timeout and had no timeouts and was never the same, it seemed like. And that's what we talk about. So much so that Chris Webber didn't even want to talk to, Jalen Rose for years, and there was a lot looming over Chris Webber's head. Did he face more pressure? Excuse me. Does Vlade Divac or Petrovic or any of these foreign players face more pressure when they come to a new country? I don't know. So obviously it's something that we're comparing on in a broad sense, because we don't know how much pressure each of us is going through. I don't know what you're going through. That's why we should be mindful of how we do interact, even in this era of just trolling.
When you think about, he had to be compared to Mike. Who did Mike have to be compared to?
Talk about it.
right? You talk about, oh, he lost this X amount of finals. Well, how many finals you been to?
2.
How hard was it to get there?
Extremely.
How many finals you been to?
Not a goddamn one.
What about you? Why didn't you go?
Hard. Had to go to LeBron.
See, I didn't grow up and see Michael Jordan get drafted and was able to watch his career evolve in that way. I'm able to look back at his career with all the DVDs that Michael Jordan had, all these like mini documentaries, and we learned, the first thing that we learned, one of the first things you learn about Michael Jordan is that he was compared to Dr. J immediately. Immediately. They called him the next Dr. J. That's who he was. I don't understand this whole LeBron's being compared to Michael Jordan thing. I don't know why that's even a big deal. I think that's a compliment. Like, if it wasn't Michael Jordan, it's somebody else he's being compared to that's the greatest. I think it would still be the same thing. You're comparing him to the bar. It doesn't matter who that bar is or what that bar is. It's just you're going to be scrutinized for as part of the game. And I think he's just expressing, you know, what LeBron and him and they all feel like they're going through because of these, you know, comparisons or the thief of joy, right? So that's what I think Rich Paul is basically describing. Like, this is so whack because of this. And it's so strenuous. Like, bro, he's making way more money than he would have ever imagined. He's way more successful. He has his hands. I think he just arrived in Saudi Arabia just now. Like, that's a potential, who knows what is going on there, right? All of this is possible because he won a DNA lottery and he worked his ass off. Like, LeBron works his ass off. So, you know, when we say he doesn't work like Jordan, it's like maybe Jordan just worked a little bit smarter. Maybe he's geared a little bit differently. Like, there's so many things that factor in, again, because he's human and he's just a maniac. Michael Jordan might actually be a horrible human being for all we know. Like, nobody ever says he's a great person. We never say that. We always, LeBron's biggest haters stop and will always mention, LeBron seems like a really good dude, like a really good guy. That part of them is in favor of LeBron, the same way like Jordan is favored in a basketball sense. In a personal sense, LeBron is favored, like, highly by anyone. It's not even close. As a human being, badly. But why does that have to be mentioned when we're talking about basketball? It's not like we're accusing any one of these guys of something like some heinous crime. I don't want to get too specific. I'm trying to be PG, I guess, or PC. But it's not like a sexual assault case or something like that. It's not like, we're not accusing you of anything but being not as good as the best basketball player we think we've ever seen. I don't think that's that hard. Is there a beef between Deion Sanders and ESPN? I saw him on Undisputed. Saw him on Pat McAfee's show, which is on YouTube. Did not see him on First Take. And they were speaking about him like he was the second coming of Jesus. Clearly they're cool. Prime is very careful with the media. And when I say careful, even him outing as he's competing with the media members, are calling them out like, yo, you doubted us and everything. That's all calculated. He knew he was going to see these same people when they won. He was going to say that. Like, that's just the Muhammad Ali in him. But it's also calculated that he's helping his boy Michael Irvin out on Fox, on Undisputed. Maybe Michael Irvin looks at ESPN a certain way for letting him go, because he, speaking of sexual assault, he kind of caught that case. Why would ESPN, even though like there was no evidence? And Stephen A. Smith, not no evidence, but I don't know, there hasn't been any traction on that. And Stephen A. Smith, like, outwardly was defending Michael Irvin. Crazy. was begging to have him back on First Take, because I think he knew a First Take with Michael Irvin and Shannon Sharpe is a different level. That I gotta say, a Monday morning with Michael Irvin and Shannon Sharpe, even with Stephen A there, would have been crazy. That would have been crazy. I can't front on that. Like, Undisputed is missing that. Like, they're missing another star also. They're both missing what they have. Pat McAfee at some point has to join First Take to talk about football with Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith. That has to happen because Pat McAfee is a star. That being said, Deion Sanders is not showing up to First Take. And part of that is because of the division. I believe Michael Irvin being on Fox. This might be a favor from Deion Sanders, potentially. Look out for it. Hey, I'm not going to go speak to them. They did my boy dirty. Never know. You never know. Favorite perspective, like, comment, and subscribe. Tap into our membership. Show us some love. Tap us with the super chat. Hey, I'm not begging for it. I ain't begging for it. Either you love me or you don't. Either you love me or you don't. Live and direct, favorite, respect, friendly fire, AllBallTV. You already know what time it is. It's 4 Sportsmen every Sunday, 8 p.m.